Hey, I'm Dr. Paul with Move Toward Wellness, and I want to give you a tip today on how to raise a healthier, happier child. A lot of times people ask, what's the food I should give? What exercises should I recommend? How do I get my kids to do this or that? Today I'm not only going to give you a really important tip, but the most important tip. National Geographic did an episode years ago, a documentary on elephants, and what happened was they took these adolescent male elephants out of their herd and put them into a preserve, and almost immediately they started to behave in strange ways. Their testosterone levels surged and they were really aggressive, they were fighting, they were destructive, and they were actually killing white rhinos, which they never did in the wild. So they had considered putting these elephants down because of the way they were behaving, until someone recommended that they bring in male adult elephants. And when they did, almost immediately these elephants, the adolescent male behavior changed. Their testosterone levels dropped and they started to behave more like an elephant would in the wild. This is super important because what it shows is that they didn't know how to behave. And essentially what the adult elephants did was say, listen, this is how you act. This is how an elephant is supposed to act. And basically if we don't have a model to go by, we'll never act the way we're supposed to. So my number one tip for you today is, if you want your children to be as healthy as possible, you have to be as healthy as possible. We can talk about what they should eat and you can tell them how to behave, but they're going to act the way you act. They're going to do the things that you do. So the most important thing you can do is adopt a healthy lifestyle, because they're watching you. They're sponges. They're absorbing it consciously and subconsciously. They're picking up what you do, how you do it, how often you do it, and they're going to emulate that behavior. A lot of times we end up telling our kids one thing and doing another. It doesn't matter what we say. What matters is what we do. I remember my daughter one time hit my son, and I remember smacking her on the back of the hand and saying, "Quincy, don't hit your brother." That's bizarre. Here I'm smacking her on the hand, telling her not to hit her brother. It makes no sense. I also remember my daughter Emma putting on my wife's, she was probably 3 or 4 years old, putting on my wife's Nike tennis shoes, grabbed the iPod, headphones, put them on, and started to clip-clop out the hallway towards the door. I said, "Emma, where are you going?" She said, "I'll be back, Dad. I'm going for a quick run." Now, at such a young age, the only way she would behave like that or do something like that is because that's something that she sees and she saw regularly. And so that's what kids do. They do what they see. As humans, we only do what we know, and we know what we know because of what we see. And if you're their parents or grandparents, they're around you all the time. So that you are going to have the most influence on them. So my biggest tip as far as raising healthy children is to adopt a healthy lifestyle yourself. It doesn't matter as much what you say, it matters what you do. They're watching the foods that you eat, how often you eat them, when you eat them, what kind of snacks you choose, how much you exercise. They're watching you. And sometimes we don't make healthy decisions because maybe we don't feel it's important enough for us, or maybe we're not worth it, or it's not that big a deal. But when you start to realize that your children's behavior is going to be dependent on your behavior, all of a sudden now your why has gotten a lot bigger, and it makes it a little more important, a little more impactful for you to live a healthier lifestyle. One more story. Gilda Radner, the comedian from Saturday Night Live, she died of ovarian cancer, but before she did, she wrote a book called It's Always Something. And in this book, she told a story about a housekeeper she had, and that had a dog, and the dog was pregnant and had gotten hit by a lawnmower. So the back end was very damaged. They took the dog to the vet, and they asked the vet, "Is there anything we can do to save the litter?" And they said, "You know what, not only can we save the pups, but we can actually save the dog." He said, "She won't walk the way she normally walked, but she'll get around and she'll manage just fine." And she did. She healed up and she would walk, but what she would do is she would turn her hips, scoot along and swing them around underneath her, and that's how she would get along. She ended up having the pups, and all of the dogs, all the pups in the litter were perfectly healthy. And once they started to walk though, they walked exactly like the mother. That story right there is a story that impacted me bigger than any other story when it came to how our behavior affects our kids' behavior. One of the biggest driving forces for me to live a healthy lifestyle is because I know my kids are watching me every single day, and they're going to do, no matter what I say, they're going to do what I do. And your kids are going to do what you do. So I hope this helps. I hope this makes living a healthier lifestyle a little more important. I hope that you'll take the information that we're giving you and apply it to your life, because it's not just for you, it's for your kids. So thanks for listening. I appreciate your trust. Please share a comment, post an idea, share a story. Thanks. I'll talk to you soon.